for Deja where we do mixed media artwork. I'm going to demonstrate for you one of our classes that we have. It's Seahorse. Let's start with a printed out copy of a seahorse that we're going to cut out. Below I will provide an image that you can print out on your printer. It will fit on 8.5 by 11 paper, and you can print this out, and then you're going to want to cut it out. Going back first grade when we actually use scissors when we play. You won't remember this. When you're finished with your seahorse, you will not even remember having cut this out. This is just a guide. You're going to need, one is, you're going to need some Mod Podge, a glass of water, styrofoam plate or just a plate. This will be your palette. I call these pouncers. We're going to need Liquitex modeling paste. It's by Liquitex. Actually, there are a couple different brands out there, but it's modeling or molding paste. You're going to need a little simple palette knife of any sort. You're going to need 3 colors, 3 different hues of the general concept that you want for your background. So I have 3, they're blue, they're all blue-greens, but they're a little different. And I like that because it makes your canvas not all one color. And then we're going to need some sand. You can get this at Walmart or Jerry's Artarama or Michael A.C. Moore. And possibly you need some shells. Later we will need scrapbooking paper or papers from Paper Source or Jerry's Artarama, handmade papers of any sort. These can also be created with magazine clippings. I mean, you can use anything. Clippings from books, old dictionary pages, old books. I mean, the sky's the limit on what we can use to create with. So I like to say in my classes that no thinking. We don't think a lot in these classes. We just sort of go with our first intuition, our first instinct, and we don't spend a lot of time planning, and it always turns out beautiful when we do that. We don't need a lot of planning. This is for relaxing, creating, and just playing, and it's good for you. The seahorse cut out. So now what we're going to do is on the palette, this canvas that we're using today is a size 7 by 14. The only place that I have found this size at a student cost is at Walmart. And it's by a company called Donna Morgan. And the only place I've ever seen this brand is at Walmart. I think that other companies should start carrying this size. I think it's a very artistic size and it's perfect for a lot of the mixed media that I do. 7 by 14. So what we're going to do is put down the 3 colors. Now this background can be any color. It can be pink, yellow, purple, black, orange, gold, anything. It can be any color. I've chosen to use sort of a green-blue. And see, each of these colors is a little bit different, just a little different. And we're going to use our little pouncer. And I like to stick it in water, just barely tip it in water and then just kind of wet, not very wet at all. And then you dip into all 3 colors at the same time and you start to pounce. And once you get started on this, on your blank canvas, you'll see what it does. It's just important to just get started because you'll see what kind of effect. And this way you can create the effect that you want. Okay, ta-da! Have a beautiful background. Oh, you may want to go along the outside edges, and with that you just slide the dabber or the pouncer. You don't have to dab it, I like to finish off the outside edges, even if I'm going to frame it. we have some fantastic frames, distress frames, which I'll show you later, but I kind of like for the canvas to be finished off regardless. And because you can hang them without a frame. They just look more finished. There we go. Set this to the side. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on our seahorse. So we're going to go over to the paper stash that I have, and you need to have a stash of papers, different sorts of papers, and we're going to pick out some papers for our seahorse. So I'm just going to go through here and think about, I'm just going to pull out papers that I like, what I'm feeling today, which every day is a little different. What I might be feeling. So in my classes, I just like to have the papers in these bins, and so that, because everybody's different, and all of these will turn out completely different. Yours will be totally different from mine. Anything works, really does. So I've chosen 6 or 7 different patterns, and I'm going to take them over to my class. So I have placed some Mod Podge in this little cup. This is a little brush that we use for glue. It's metal with black bristles, and I like to use this for glue. It's actually used for plumbing, scraping out plumbing supplies, so you can actually get them at Home Depot in the plumbing section, or you can get them at Michael's or AC Moore, Hobby Lobby, I think. Here are some examples of different seahorses that I've done in the classes, teaching the classes. And as you can see, as you come along, they all have different elements. They have different colors, different materials. This is an opportunity to be, you can specify color, and backgrounds can be anything. A lot of these are blues and greens, but they honestly can be, and people have done every color under the rainbow. You can do black. Any color background works. Any color seahorse works. And if you notice on this seahorse that's already been created, these are strips of paper. These are strips of the scrapbook paper or the handmade papers, whatever. So we're going to start to create strips for our seahorse that we're creating today. So I've already pulled one strip of this pink color, pink paper, and I'm going to put down some glue with my glue brush and my Mod Podge in this little cup. Sometimes I'll call it glue, sometimes it would be Mod Podge. So what's going to happen is we're just going to glue these strips on the seahorse like this. It's going to look like a hot little mess, so we don't worry about that right now. And honestly, no thinking. It's really and truly better if you can just pick the papers that you like for the day and just put them on your seahorse in these strips, and it will be beautiful. So let me show you something about paper. So here's a fresh pad of paper, or sheet of paper. If I tear this, when I tear towards me, there's no white, but where I tore away from, there is white. Now, sometimes you might like having the white, sometimes you may not want the white. So that's why I point that out to you. So where I tore away from does not have white, where I tore from does have white. So if I do not want white on either side of this strip, then I'm going to pull both sides towards me. When you start to do this yourself, you'll understand. So we're going to put this piece here. And these are just, on this day, I'm not always drawn to pink, but for some reason today I was drawn to pink, and so I go with it. I don't put a lot of thought into it. I don't know why I'm drawn to pink. Look, here's a pink map. Piece of a pink map. This process is very tactile, and it's not technical. And so therefore your mind can just be free. Let your worries go. So something I like to do is after every 1 or 2 strips, pick him up and make sure he's not glued down or sticking to something. You could actually put down a mat or something if you wanted. But you don't want them to get glued down to the table, so you want to pick them up after every couple of strips. I like to tear paper. I like to suggest tearing because I think it's a little more organic than if the paper is cut and it's perfectly straight. It just doesn't have the organic look to it. So I like tearings, plus it's easier. Sometimes I might add a little glue over the top, but that's not necessary always. You don't need to don't feel like you have to add it. I never even thought about what I chose over here. I just chose the papers that I was drawn to. And I chose the color I was drawn to. And you can trust yourself on that. Now we're going to take this over to a hair dryer, or you can let it sit for a while and dry, but if you want to do it quickly, hair dryer. So what we have here is a little mess. We have just little strips of paper, and if you can see on the back, I can still see the outline of the seahorse. So I'm going to start to recut the seahorse out, cutting away the excess paper. So here she is, little baby seahorse, once we cut all the strips back. Bring our canvas back. Now we want to make sure this is really dry, and this is not, so I'm going to go back and dry it with the hair dryer. It's pretty dry. So I'm going to lay her on here and see how she looks. I like it. I like it. If I ever see anything that I don't like, at this point I can change it. You know, I could say, well, I really would rather see that, but I don't feel that today. So, but I'm just saying at any point you can change what you've done. You can add to it. You would just add another strip and then glue it down, and then you would just have to turn her back over and cut it back out. But I like her. She's just right. So I like to say put a generous amount of glue on the back of the seahorse. And I do, just don't be stingy with it, but you don't want to have too much, but you definitely want to have an amount of glue, and you want to go all the way to the edges. And then we're going to turn it over. Glue dries clear. It looks white on the canvas, but it always dries clear. And you're going to see, and I kind of wipe back the glue that I created by painting the glue on. And then I take a piece of wax paper, place that down, and turn the seahorse over. This is actually a Pampered Chef tool that I got at a yard sale. There are things called brayers that you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And we're just going to roll it like this. It takes a little time. You want to spend a little time doing this with a little pressure. And I like to use the larger end versus the smaller end. And it just fits just perfectly. Then you want to pull the paper off gently. And so voila, you have the seahorse. And you might want to go around with your glue brush and just pick up some of the glue. Again, the glue will dry clear, so you don't need to worry about any of that. If you see pieces popping up, you might slide that little glue brush up under there. Any brush will do for the glue. You can use a paintbrush. You kind of want to keep your brushes separate. Either they're paint brushes or they're glue brushes. That's why I like these, because they look so different from a paintbrush. So now it's time to create an environment for our seahorse. So what we're going to do now, as in the picture on the seahorse, we like to layer things. The first layer is a paper seaweed of some sort. Now this you can do any way you want to. I clearly cut out squiggles on that one. I have people in class that tear paper and make seaweed, which I think I'll do today. You just do it how you see it. What do you think a piece of seaweed in the ocean looks like? Under the ocean. Or seagrass, rather, seagrass. Of course they won't. I'm not going to make them even because I don't do things even. I mean, I try to make it balanced, but you get to do this how you want to do it. This way. Now I'm going to create down below the sandy bottom, if that's what I want it to be, or not. This is honeycomb packing paper that I'm using. You can use that, you can use, there are just so many, anything that's sand color you could use. This has a little texture to it. I'm just putting down some kind of gobbing down glue and just kind of getting it on there. There are just so many things that you could use that you could imagine how it might look on the ocean floor. You're just creating an organic, natural environment. And it's like the more organic you can be about it, the better. Instead of trying to plan and make it be perfect. Because truly, nature's never totally balanced. It is balanced, but it's in its own way. And gob down glue, Mod Podge. I love Mod Podge. It's better than glue. It's an amazing product. It's thicker than glue, and it just adheres faster, and it's thicker. I'm not sure the exactly the content, the ingredients, but I just know it works. It's easier to work with. Mod Podge. So what I'm going to do, since I still have some wet glue there, I'm going to sprinkle some of this sand that, I live at the beach. I could use sand from the ocean, from the beaches here, but I like to use the sand you can get it at Dollar Tree, Walmart, Jerry's, Hobby Lobby, AC Moore. It's just clean, you know it's clean. Plate, you could get sandbox sand. So this is a piece of a stencil. I think you can see it. This is a stencil you can get on Amazon. Just some kind of a shape that might be ocean-like. So we're going to lie the stencil down on the canvas. And then we're going to take our modeling paste, which is this product. And this is a palette knife. And on the back of the palette knife, seems counterintuitive, but you scrape up a bit out of the jar of the modeling paste. See, it's on the back. And then we scrape across. It's like icing a cake. Smash and spread with the edge of the palette knife. What we don't want to do is poke it like this, because then it gets up under the stencil. So you want to keep it using the top edge. Anything that you get on there that you don't want to be there can be wiped off later when you pick the stencil up. So we're going to go across here. This is just adds more texture, a little more interest to your piece. Okay. I like to put the lid on so it doesn't dry out. Okay, and then we pick the stencil up. That's what we have. Isn't that cool? But I want to scrape off any of the excess that I don't really want. And this will dry white. Unlike the glue that dries clear, this dries white. So what I may do at that point is add some paint to it. Put some paint over top of it. But while that dries, we will march forward with adding some additional embellishments, festooning it. Someone said that word recently, festooning with the yarn. What I like to do is just actually put some paint down, heavily put some paint down. Just kind of lay it in there. And don't worry about gluing it down, just lay it there. Another piece for the other side. Just a piece that I picked up of a ribbon. You know, it's just got the color of sand. It's kind of beachy looking. Maybe I'll just kind of glue that on there. I'll gob down some glue here and here. So this is mixed media. It's really about just using what you have. You know, you'll start to look at things that you even start to throw away a little differently. You may be like, oh, this could be seaweed. I like to save avocado bags and the netty bags that oranges or lemons come in. And so you just put the glue down and leave it there. Now, if that doesn't glue down how I want it to later, then I'll probably add some hot glue to it. Now, I have shells here because I live at the beach. And so I will begin to look at how I might want to add some shells here. So I'm just arranging them right now. And I'm gonna actually, for something like the shells, I like to use the hot glue gun to apply them, but it is nice to just arrange them at first so you can know how you're gonna hot glue them on. I mean, anything we would do would be very organic and very much a part of what's going on in the ocean. It can be anything we want it to be. It's art. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we'll go over and hot glue that. Decided to add a little of this gold string that I found. It's kind of a coppery gold, and I see that I have a little gold in the Seahorse, so I think I just wanted a little sparkle in there. So I'm gonna sort of lay that down, add a little glue. Again, the glue dries clear. It'll be fine. And I still have wet glue, so I'm just gonna kind of lay. Sometimes if my finger sticks in the glue, I'll use the back of the glue brush or paintbrush. Doesn't stick to that as much. So I think that added a little to it. So now I'm off to hot glue. We're gonna be hot gluing these shells. Anything a little larger needs to be hot glued. Oh, you know, I found this, which is the same color as that string. I think I'm gonna add, it's kind of like glitter, but actually it's little rocks. But it could be glitter, even glitter. Kind of looks like glitter. It's just another little sparkle. I just felt like it. Just felt like adding it. A little of this paint, and I'm gonna come back in just with one of the colors, and I'm gonna tap it down on this to make sure that this is really dry before I do this. The modeling paste, you wanna make sure that's really dry, which you can use a hair dryer or just, it dries in about 15 minutes. I just really wanted the texture on this. Not the color of white, but just the texture. Can you see the texture? So we're getting close to being done. I want to do an eye. So, and I've chosen, you can do all sorts of things for an eye. You could do a seashell for an eye. I don't want that. What I'm gonna do, this is a piece of scrapbook paper that has like this, And when you go through scrap paper, you're starting to see things with little shapes. So I like this because it's a round little circle. So I'm going to cut this out. And to me, it looks like the possibility of an eye. Sometimes you just have to play with things. I've used this before, so I know that I like it. So I'm going to put it right there for his eye. I like that. Okay, and then I'll come over here and you know, it doesn't matter what anybody likes or doesn't like. It's what you like when you're doing it. I found these little black rhinestones, I guess they would be, and I'm going to put that right in the center. And I might add some Mod Podge to that. Okay, so I like that. The last thing that I suggest you do, this is a charcoal pencil. A peel and sketch charcoal pencil. I like this one in particular, and it's kind of like a grease pencil. It has the little string that you tear back to unveil more of the charcoal. I like it because it's soft. And what I like to do is go around the seahorse, right on the paper. I just charcoal pencil right on the paper. This will make him pop off the page and be more visible. Sometimes I get right on the canvas though. Just kind of go all around him. And then I go back and I smudge. I do little areas at the time and I go back and I smudge it. So it's a little softer. So it creates somewhat of a little shadow effect. And it actually makes him pop off the page a little nicer. Stand out with the black charcoal. You see a little spot. I have this frame that we paint and then distress here at Deja my shop. And there you go. There's the seahorse. So this is something that you can do. Follow the guidelines that I just gave you. It's truly not that difficult to do. Or you can come to my shop and take a class. We have a great time here. Every canvas that we do is a little different. You'll learn different techniques and different products that you can use in your own artwork. I'd love to have you come and visit us. We have lots of cool things to use for embellishments, a lot of art supplies. It's a great experience. Bring a friend, bring your family, your granddaughter, your nieces, your nephews, your husband, your sons. My artwork that I do in the studio. I also sell these pieces on Etsy. I have an Etsy store. It's called Deja Art, where you can purchase pieces and you can purchase the frames. Frames can be custom painted to match your piece of art, or they can come in white or black. I'd love for you to check out my Etsy store. Quotes of any sort can be added to the piece that you buy. These are also part of the classes that we do. All of these are classes. All of these can be classes in the studio. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.